Hi, I'm Di with Sister Chicks Quilting, and welcome to my channel today. I am doing a Quilt As You Go table topper for Easter, and I can't wait to share it with you. But first, I just want to thank everybody for watching my channel. I really appreciate you. I love your comments, and if you like what you see, subscribe or thumbs up. That's the YouTube way. That would be great. I would really appreciate it. All right, let me show you. See these colors? Oh, you've guessed it already. I am doing an Easter carrot Quilt As You Go table topper, and I have to show you the pattern. It is adorable. Really quick, my girlfriend from Missouri called me and said, oh my gosh, I just saw the cutest carrot table topper on Pinterest. You've got to do it for your channel. Well, she sent me the link and I looked, and it was one that my very first retreat with my quilting sisters, my friend Pat made, and I have loved that ever since I saw it. I couldn't wait to do one myself, but it just, never happened. The very next day, my bestie that lives right here in my hometown called me up and said, I was thinking for Easter, you need to do a carrot table topper like the one Pat did at retreat. And I had to. So I bought the pattern. This is it, and I'm going to put a link below. It is called Garden Fresh Runners and Placemats by Pieced Tree Patterns. Isn't that? Now, look at the carrot. So it has a pepper, eggplant, tomato, and a carrot. And these are big. This is the size of a placemat. And I just think it's adorable. And in the pattern writer tells how she had a friend make this pepper. She just changed the carrot a little bit. So I think it's a pretty darling pattern, and I'm not going to be on my long arm at all. At the end of this video, I'll have a finished table topper. Let's get started. I have to figure out how to use this camera better because I want to show you what's going on, but I also kind of want to talk to you. So I'm just going to pop out of the screen right now and show you. Here is, by the way, the pattern has all of the templates and all the information you'll need. It is it's such a fun pattern to do. So it wanted backing fabric, and this is what I had in my stash. So I'm using that. And this is a little wider. The batting is actually a little bigger than the carrot itself, but you sew the carrot strips on and then you trim it. And then I have all of my strips cut, as you can see, and I'm going to show you how to quilt as you go. The first thing you need, see this big white blob here? You want a walking foot on your machine, and walking foots are good because they have a feed dog system in the top as well as it matches the feed dog system in the bottom of your machine, and it moves the fabric through at the same pace. But I've marked a line, a straight line on this, and that's how I'm going to start. And I'm going to start with 2 pieces of fabric, putting one, I'm matching the seams, and I'm putting one facing side down. And I'm just going to lay those right on that line. The bottom one is right side up, and the top one is right side down. Here I go. I'm going to sew it down at 1/4 inch. All the way to the end. Also, the pattern instructions tell you that you use the basting spray to spray this batting to the backing. Well, I'm a long arm quilter and I don't have any basting spray, which kind of stinks. So I didn't do that. I've used pins, as you can see, to hold my pattern down. And then you fold it open like so, finger press it, and then you sew another 1/4 inch. So I don't have to get up and run to the iron by the way, this is my binding. Do you love my ADD way of showing you things? So I don't have to get up and run to the iron. I'm going to use my fabric roller, and I'm just going to roll that seam down just like so. And then I'm going to pick another piece. I think I'll try this lighter orange, making sure it's right here. I also have my 1/4 inch seam tape on my machine, which this completely covers. So I had to figure out where the 1/4 inch was. Let me show you what I used. I picked up my measuring gauge. Do you see each corner is different? This is the 1/2 inch. This is 5/8. This is the 1/4 inch. And I was able to gauge from my needle to a spot on the walking foot as to what a 1/4 inch was, because I don't have any, again, seam tape to show it. Then when you finish that one, you fold it over like so and press. Now the picture in the pattern and on my girlfriend's carrot table topper was made with batiks, and I didn't have enough orange batiks. Didn't want to buy any. I had a bunch of these really old fat quarters, and that's what I'm using, and I think it's just going to turn out as cute, just looking a little scrappier. And you just follow those steps till the very end. Now some of you may ask, what about the other end? It's pretty simple. You flip it. So let's throw a few on the other end as well. Make sure this is pinned down. Well, I have all of my strips sewn on, and it sort of looks like a carrot, doesn't it? It has you get a template. There's 2 templates that come in the pattern, one for the batting and the second one to put on and to cut out the carrot. And then the next step is to bind it. But you know, I am just going to cut it out because I can kind of feel where the edge of the binding is. And that way mine will be, it'll be a different size than the one in the pattern, but that's okay if it's a little bigger. So here I go, cutting my carrot out. It probably would have been easier to do the template, but this is faster, and I think it's going to be the same results. Okay, what do you think? That is cute. It's a perfect little shape. Now to bind it. Now the binding I cut on the bias. You would have to with all these curves. And then what I'm going to do next is, before I bind it, I'm going to stitch down at least the ends right along here, so it will be easier to bind. I'm sewing the binding on, taking it slow because it is bias and I've got some tight corners. And my MO, or modus operandi, is to sew the binding on the back and then machine stitch it down using my edge foot or my binding foot so it looks perfect. That way I look like a hero or a heroine. I have one takeaway. When you're doing this, match your thread to the back. I used my regular cream, and you see that? And you can see the stripes in it, but it's my usual regular cream quilting thread. I didn't even think about it until I turned it over. I can live with the stripes on the back. It is on the back. No stitches show on the front. It just looks quilted. Oh, that's because it is quilted. I'm not going to do the binding the way I regularly do binding. It's too small of a piece for me to piece it regular style. And it's going to be hidden by the stem. So I'm just going to cut it on an angle about this far. But I made a mistake because I should have opened it and cut it on an angle. As you can see, I don't do this regularly. And then I'm going to fold this under like so and finger press it. I'm going to fold this piece so there's not a raw edge. It looks like that. And then I'm going to just put this right inside that binding as I come around. Let's see, there we go. I'm going to trim this. Laying it in and laying it over. I'm going to use my stiletto to hold it down. Then I'm going to flip it over, put my edge tool on, and sew the binding all the way around on the edge. And I can't wait to show you how to attach the stem. That's really fun, but you've got to get the pattern. I'm going to use this foot. It's an edge guide foot, and if you look, you can see the little metal piece underneath. This is, the fabric goes right next to that where my fingernail is, and it shows a perfect edge. Here, let me show you better. It goes right under that, and it shows a perfect edge on my binding. So I always look like I'm just a pro binder, and really I just use the correct tool. Let me show you how that works. So you set your foot at 1/4 inch on the sewing machine, and you put this edge right next to it and just sew away. So I'm putting my fabric right next to, snugging it up right next to that little bar on the edge foot, and bada bing, bada boom. Or is it bada bing, bada bang? And my carrot is bound. Cute. I'll show you the whole thing in just a minute. In the pattern is the template for the carrot tops, and they're going to be folded over like this, and I'll put little creases in them so they're kind of roughly like a carrot top, but I use Wonder Under. It says it calls for something else, but whatever. Wonder Under 805 is what I use. This is my fabric piece, and this is my Wonder Under with the glue side facing down on the fabric. And under it, can you see what I have? I'm not going to press this right on my wool pressing mat because I didn't cut out very good. There's always a little bit of extra glue, and I don't want that glue to get on anything. So I use a handy wipe. Do you remember handy wipes? Anyway, they make really great pressing cloths, and I can press this down. I am going to manipulate it a little bit so I get most of my piece glued down. But as I'm gluing this down with my hot iron, all of this glue that's going over the fabric is sticking to this handy wipe and protecting my surface. I just think they're the best pressing cloth ever. And then if you wanted to press it on this side, just turn it over and do the same thing. But I'm all pressed, ready to go. Now I'm going to pull off my layer so that my paper, so that the glue is on the fabric only. It's always hard for me to start this. Here we go. Here's one that looks like it might come, and this is it. So we're pulling this off. The glue is staying on the fabric. Well, sort of. I guess it's not going to. Good night, Mary. I'm going to let it set just a second. But that's what you do. It has you use Wonder Under on both sides and put stabilizer in between and satin stitch them together so you don't have to turn all of these points, which is really nice. And I'm just using my medium to lightweight Pellon as a stabilizer on the inside between the two. I'll show you the rest over at the sewing machine. Okay, I'm going to show you how you do this. So I have my Wonder Under, this is the glue side up, and I'm going to lay my stabilizer down, and it's just that medium lightweight Pellon. I'm going to give it a little press. I probably should have done it the other way. It's easier to see. Then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put this one right on top of the bottom one. Now the green pieces are pretty darn exact. I cut them out together. So I'm going to iron this down. And how we finish the edges is pretty genius. This pattern writer was thinking of the seamstress for sure, because you're not going to be turning all those points. You just take it to your machine, set a satin stitch, do a satin stitch around, and then trim right next to the satin stitch. And that is how you finish your carrot top. Okay, let's go do some satin stitching. I've been playing with my sewing machine to get the right satin stitch, and I've got one that I'm happy with. And I'm just going to do a satin stitch all the way around these pieces. Sadly, it goes really, really slow. But it's easy to control, and I'll do it all the way around. That looks pretty good. I'll finish this and show you at the end. I have the satin stitch done all the way around. This is the other side. It's a little more ziggy than satiny. Oh well. Anyway, and I'm going to trim around I'm going to trim close to the satin stitch, but not cut into the satin stitch. And that will finish the edge of the the carrot top off. Then I'm going to sew it on and, oh my gosh, be done with it. So this part was just a little bit fiddly because of all the points, but it's going to be cute and it's certainly worth it. And I'll finish cutting and then show you how I sew this on. You may or may not have noticed the scissors that I'm using. They are Karen K. Buckley scissors, and I'll put a link to them in the comments below, but they're serrated scissors and they are really nice scissors. They're one of my favorite go-to scissors, and for cutting something out like this, they are the most powerful little tool you can use. Because they're serrated, they grab the fabric and make it super easy to cut, to get in there for points and right next to it without cutting into it. They're just great. Well, it's all done. That is going to be so cute on a Easter table. Let me show you how the frillies turned out, or the carrot tops. And I just followed the directions, stitched them on in the ditch. Isn't this a really fun project? I can't wait to put it on my Easter table. I'm really excited about it. Again, one of my go-tos was, see the thread that it's kind of cream on the back, the striped thread? Make sure you use an orange thread that is going to match your backing, or do thread that's going to match your backing when you stitch your strips down. And really, that's my only suggestion, other than get the pattern and follow the pattern. It's very explanatory. Again, I'm going to put the link to this pattern in the description below the video. Oh, before I say goodbye, don't forget, if you have a question for my Q&A on April 8th, to put a comment below with a question mark in front of it. Thanks. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.